I'm in New York City, where the second time in less than 2 weeks, Governor Christie and New York's Governor Cuomo have met to make announcements about increasing security at the border and at transportation stations between New York and New Jersey. Now, a lot of us expected that these announcements were made in light of the recent airstrikes in Syria, but today no acknowledgement was made whatsoever that the increased terror threat they speak of is specifically related to those airstrikes that occurred this week.
Even 13 years after September 11th, that no one in a position of responsibility has any complacency.
And when the question was posed, is this increased threat they speak of in light of those recent airstrikes over Syria, in light of the talk of the Islamic State?
There's no doubt that this nation is taking serious action, and there's no doubt that we are in a region of the world which would be a potential target of any one of a number of groups.
So there's going to be money spent, people inconvenienced, potentially it'll slow up the already terrible commute in and out of Manhattan, and no details on what we should actually be worried about.
Yeah, it's surprising that Governor Christie expects us to be on high alert and be afraid of a terrorist act when he's not telling us exactly why. When Ronica asked him at a terrorism press conference what his thoughts were on Brendan Tevlin, who was killed by an alleged jihadist, saying it was an act of revenge against the U.S., Governor Christie said it was an off-topic question.
What I'm hearing there is that Governor Christie doesn't think that the Tevlin murder was a terrorist attack. We're talking about putting additional security on bus stations, airports, bridges, and tunnels, which I don't think anyone here would doubt these are all terrorist targets. What you're talking about is something different, and that's why Governor Christie has missed it.
To your point, Hank, I can't say that it means that he thinks it is or isn't. He really did just completely punt. And I have to be honest, the stress at the last two press conferences about staying on, quote, topic, whatever that means, since I think that the topic of terrorism is quite broad, is surprising coming from Governor Christie, since there is so much speculation about his potential run for president. You'd think he'd take this as an opportunity to let the people know what he thinks is really going on.
I think it's just an arrogance on the part of politicians to think that people cannot handle and digest real information. And I think that your best defense against terrorism is a vigilant populace and people who can stand up for themselves and, if they see something, say something. But again, you've got to put that into context, because without context, people could be reporting on things that are completely irrelevant and could do more harm than good. High-speed